It was another calm night at St. Cecilia Commemoration Hospital, or so everybody thought. 3 medical caretakers clocked in for their standard overnight move, snickering, chatting, tasting coffee, their scours fresh and spirits tall. But by morning, all 3 had vanished without a following. No freeze buttons hit, no signs of battle. Their ID identifications cleared out on the nurse's station desk, and a half-empty mug still warm. Police scoured each inch of the healing centre, looked into hours of CCTV film, and addressed each staff part, persistent and security protection. But the ladies were simply gone. The clinic attempted to quiet it up. Rumours twirled. A few whispered approximately a mystery storm cellar wing. Others claimed the medical caretakers had revealed something they shouldn't have. For 6 long months, the case went ice cold. At that point, in a city sewer pipe miles absent, something shocking clogged the system, and what labourers pulled out sent shockwaves through the complete town. Why were the medical caretakers found there? And what was done to them recently they were disposed of like squanders? This isn't fair a mystery. It's a dim, chilling plummet into privileged insights no one was gathered to reveal. Stay tuned and observe till the conclusion, since the truth about what happened on that night shift will make your skin creep. Spoken in some time, she said, her voice tight. I just ought to inquire. When was the final time you saw Freya? Dr. Velman flickered, his practiced composure glinting. Well, 6 months back, of course. Sometime recently her move finished that night. His tone was smooth, but his eyes shot, and for the first time Marcia took note how carefully he was choosing his words. She didn't come domestic that night, Marcia said gradually. Did you see her take off? There was a delay, as small as well long. No, he at last said. No, I didn't. I cleared out some time recently, she did, I think. It was a chaotic night, short-staffed, parcels of patients. But you were her supervisor, she squeezed. Wouldn't she have checked out with you, or at slightest marked off on something? She didn't require to, he said, as well, rapidly, presently. Not for that specific move. She was helping in a post-op recuperation case. Nothing unusual. Marcia contracted her eyes. You ceased going to the look gatherings. You ceased calling. You just disappeared. I didn't vanish, Mrs. Langston. I fair had to centre on my work, lamenting in my possess way. He took a cautious step in reverse. Look, I'm too bad for your loss, or for this instability you've had to live with. I have nothing but regard for Freya. She was skilled, kind. She was frightened, Dr. Velman. Marcia's voice solidified. She'd been coming domestic apprehensive, jittery. She began locking her room entryway at night. I thought it was from working in a hospital. Maybe she saw something traumatic, but presently I ponder what else was going on. Velman didn't answer. His confront fixed, and for a minute something cold flashed behind his eyes. At that point he balanced his collar once more. I think the analyst will discover anything answers he's looking for, he said discreetly. I trust you get closure. And with that, he slipped into his car, the BMW's motor murmuring to life as he pulled absent from the scene, taking off a path of unease in his wake. Back at the sewer location, analyst Rohr observed the news van set up, but his eyes kept floating back toward the sloppy proof sacks. One of the forensics officers drew closer him, holding up a little clear holder. Detective, we found this interior one of the shoes. Freya Langston's cleared out one. It was held up within the toe, wrapped in gauze. Rohr wrinkled his forehead as the tech gave it over. Interior, the holder was a little USB drive, spread marginally with grime, but something else intaglio. Marcia, returning from her experience with Velman, caught the trade. What is that? Rohr held it up. Maybe our greatest lead yet. Afterward, that evening, in a secured lab at Mill Sanctuary PD, specialists split open the USB. What they found made the room drop into quiet. Handfuls of brief video clips, security film, covered-up camera recordings, interior, what showed up to be a private working room. And in one of them, Freya. her voice capable of being heard, her expression panicked, talking to the camera in a whisper. "If anybody finds this, something terrible is happening at Glade Edge. We've seen things, surgeries that shouldn't be happening, patients going lost. I think they're testing. And I think Dr. Velman is included. I don't feel secure any longer. I don't think any of us do." At that point, inactive. At that point, a shout within the foundation. The screen went dark. Criminologist Raw's jaw clenched as he stood gradually, gazing at the film. "Get a warrant for Velman's domestic and his private home, now," with alarm. "I fair need to see where he's going," Marcia answered, her voice tight with assurance. "If he's truly included in something, if there's indeed a chance he knows what happened to Freya, I can't fair let him disappear." Lihoa moved awkwardly in her situation. "We don't know anything for beyond any doubt, Marcia. Taking after him, this seems to get dangerous." But Marcia's eyes didn't take off the street. The BMW was weaving through activity presently, quicker than one might anticipate for a specialist surging to a crisis. "She's not heading toward the hospital," she said out loud, observing as Velman turned right, absent from the therapeutic area, and toward the mechanical zone closed the ancient prepare terminal. Lihoa has taken note as well. Why would he go this way? There's nothing out here but distribution centers which fenced off rail yard. A streak of something passed through Marcia's mind, a memory of a news portion approximately destitute places to stay being cleared out of that zone a month prior. "That versatile stretcher," she murmured. "What if he's not bringing gear to someone, but expelling somebody?" A chill ran through her. Ahead, the BMW moderated and turned down a contract side road, mostly covered up behind a push of rusted shipping holders. Marcia facilitated her car to a halt at the corner, extending her neck to keep the vehicle in C. They observed as Velman pulled into a rearway adjoining a rundown building with boarded windows and a split cement parcel. There were no signs, no markings to demonstrate commerce. Fair a single side door, metal, marked, and marginally unlatched. Marcia turned off the motor. "What presently?" Lihoa whispered, her hand grasping the edge of her situate. "We can't fair go jumping in." "No," Marcia said, gulping. Her heart beat in her chest. "But I'm getting to call Analyst Raw." She pulled out her phone and began dialing, her voice trembling marginally when the line associated. "Detective, it's Marcia Path. I think I've found something. Dr. Velman, he's not where he's gathered to be. He's at a surrendered mechanical building off South Warehouse Path, and he has restorative adapt in his car, a stretcher, observing gadgets. I think you ought to come now." Raw's voice was calm but cautious. "Stay where you're, Ms. Path. Don't approach. I'll alacrity units quickly and be there myself in 15 minutes. Don't go inside." "I understand," Marcia said, finishing the call and turning to Lihoa. "Help is on the way." They sat in tense quiet for a few minutes, observing the contract rearway where Velman had vanished. There was no development, no sound. Fair the stirring of wind through chain-link wall and the removed roll of activity from the turnpike. At that point, suddenly, movement. The metal entryway opened somewhat. A figure rose, slouched and shaky. It was a youthful lady, pale, thin. Her healing center scours were smudged and torn. Her confront was mostly clouded by tangled hair, but there was no mixing up the panicked, depleted eyes that bolted onto Marcia's car as if drawn by an attractive constraint. "Freya!" Marcia wheezed, tossing open the entryway and venturing out impulses, tears springing to her eyes. Lihoa bounced up as well, her voice froze. "Marcia, wait!" the criminologist said, but Marcia was as of now running. Freya bumbled forward, collapsing into her mother's arms, crying wildly, "Mom, I thought I'd never see you again." Behind them a moment figure emerged, Dr. Velman. He solidified when he saw the gathering, his phone still clutched in his hand. For a minute there was nothing but hush as everybody gazed. At that point, without a word, He raised both hands into the discussion, as if surrendering to an imperceptible drive, as of now slipping upon him. Minutes afterward, the howl of drawing closer sirens part the still discuss. Marcia held Freya more tightly, protecting her girl from the oncoming chaos. It was at long last over. Or, at least, it had fairly started. The dark truth behind Dr. Velman's smile. As whispers turned to affirmation, the hospital's sterile corridors buzzed with life. Specialists, medical caretakers, orderlies, even cafeteria staff gathered exterior the injury unit, where the 3 long-missing medical caretakers were being stabilized. A few had prepared with them, giggled over lunch breaks, and presently stood shoulder to shoulder in incredulity and trust. Mugs of water and delicate consolations were passed around like sacrosanct offerings as they anticipated overhauls, tears pooling within the corners of tired eyes. A few hours afterward, criminologist Raw walked in, flanked by 2 exhausted but centered officers. His confront bore the weight of a persistent examination, but underneath the weariness was a glimmer of calm triumph. Drawing nearer the mothers, Marcia, Isabel, and Liwa, he conveyed the news they'd supplicated to listen. "They're being stabilized. The specialists say they'll recoup with time and care." The room breathed out. "Can we see them?" Isabel inquired, voice trembling. "Soon," Raw guaranteed tenderly. But there was more to share, a tangled web of duplicity and frightfulness that no one saw coming. Once situated, Analyst Raw uncovered the stunning rationale behind the nurse's vanishing. Dr. Velman enlisted Marcus Deeks through a criminal contact. He needed them gone, permanently. Why? The reply chilled the moms to their center. Dr. Velman had a covered-up past, and insider facts he was willing to murder for. Rather than carrying out the hit, Marcus Deeks, Velman's contracted man, couldn't go through with it. He covered up them within the confinement ward of a deserted clinic, Raw clarified. The clinic, long closed down, had once had a place for Velman's father. Behind fixed entryways, the youthful ladies were malnourished, neglected, but lively. They survived on scraps in obscurity and fear, but they held on. Deeks, it turned out, was a criminal himself, needed for numerous wrongdoings. He chose to utilize the medical caretakers as use, driving Dr. Velman to perform illicit facial recreation surgery so he may vanish. Doc said he wouldn't change everything for a thug, Raw cited horridly. The halt extended for months, driving to desperation, and the aggravating sewer stunt that drove to their disclosure. The flushed regalia were a threat, Raw clarified. Deeks had taken the nurses' cleans, bundled them with wire and tape, and flushed them down the mechanical can at the surrendered clinic. He was influencing Velman, but that act caused a sewer blockage. Which blockage? It drove analysts straight to the uniforms and broke open the case. When Deeks was captured, he confessed effectively. "Doc's the one who set it all up," he said. "I fair did the grimy work." He appeared diminished to be caught, like a man who'd been caught in his possess lies for as well long. Abruptly, a nurture entered. "Freya Langston is inquiring to talk with you." Analyst Raw and Freya's mother, Marca, surged to her side. In a clinic bed, eyes depressed but clear, Freya started to uncover everything. Dr. Velman was misrepresenting persistent records and doing unseemly things to calm patients, she whispered. 7 months prior, Freya had taken note disparities in charts. She, Chiara, and Callie chose to investigate, but they never got the chance to report him. One night after our move, a van pulled up within the garage, Freya reviewed. She recollected the surge of fear, the cloth over her confront, at that point obscurity. They were stolen, absent, like shadows. Dr. Velman, frantic to hush them, had gone as well distant. He chose quiet over embarrassment. Sometime recently, Raw seemed take off, Freya included. Marcus wasn't as unfeeling as he could have been. He brought them nourishment, medication, indeed cared for Callie when she got a disease. "I think," He was caught too. It was a shocking confirmation. Maybe Deeks, the criminal, had a soul caught in a catch of his possession. As the truth spread out exterior the clinic, candles flashed within the sunset. The individuals of Mill Safe House had assembled, unprompted, holding vigil for the medical caretakers. An unconstrained act of solidarity and back. News teams floated, broadcasting the supernatural occurrence. The town wasn't fair watching, they were lamenting, celebrating, and mending together. Over the another few days, the medical attendants were exchanged to a secure, adjoining wing. The three survivors, Freya, Chiara, and Callie, could recoup together in security, encompassed by care and a door. Isabel sobbed with delight when Chiara inquired for her. Leha detailed Callie would recoup with treatment. Marka sat by Freya's side as she slept, finally secure. They were broken, yes, but they were lively. And they were warriors. Analyst Raw had no time to rest. He facilitated looks at Velman's office and clinic. More proof was coming in, falsified records, potential extra casualties, manufactured charging frameworks. What started as a protection was presently a full criminal examination into a man who had once worn a healer's white coat, now uncovered as a predator in mask. Within the conclusion, 3 medical caretakers returned from the edge of lost hope. A town was shaken but not broken, and much appreciated to courage. Freya's calm assurance, the mother's tireless ardor, criminologist Raw's grit. Justice was at last on its way. "They're survivors," Marka said with conviction. Yes. And presently they were moreover heroes. Surviving was fair at the start. After being protected from months of confinement, Freya, Callie, and Chiara were shadows of their previous selves, emaciated, powerless, and physically depleted. But whereas their bodies can be fed back to well-being with IV liquids and specialized diets, their minds were frequented by the injury of disloyalty, detainment, and the fear that they'd never be found. It was a brutal truth. In some cases, the most profound wounds are imperceptible. 3 survivors, 3 mums, 1 exceptional minute. As Marcia wheeled Freya down the passage, they joined Isabel and Lewa, Chiara and Callie's mothers, for a passionate gathering. The young ladies were more slender, calmer, and unmistakably shaken, but they were there, lively, together, against all chances. Tears streamed unreservedly, embraces were tender but tight, and for the first time in months, trust filled the healing center room. Callie, ever the brainy one with restorative aspirations, started analyzing her claimed condition. Indeed, after months of starvation, her judgment skills hadn't dulled. Her comment, almost muscle-squandering and dietary supplements, reminded everybody of the furious soul that had made a difference in their survival. Information had been her stay within the storm. Freya's voice was delicate, but her memory was sharp. She related the day she spotted charging inconsistencies. When she stood up to Dr. Velman, his cavalier reply wasn't what stuck with her. It was the sea in his eyes. That minute, she realized, something was exceptionally off base. Freya's calm confession to Marcia was heart-wrenching. In her darkest hours, when elude appeared incomprehensible, she clung to one picture, her mother's unflinching trust. And Marcia, she never ceased accepting. Not once. Their grasp wasn't fair mother and daughter. It was a sacrosanct gathering of 2 souls who never let go of each other. The organization recognized not their suffering, but their boldness. The young ladies may return when they are prepared. But would they? Marcia wasn't beyond any doubt. Not one or the other was Isabel. Mending had to come to begin with, but one thing was certain, their choices would be honored no matter what. The mums had persevered the unimaginable. Presently, they would walk the way to recuperation with their daughters, one day, one breath, one shared minute at a time. Their nearness to the clinic wasn't fair for ethical back. It was a guarantee, we're not taking off your side. Evil hides in the darkest corners, and sometimes it wears a hospital badge. For more chilling discoveries, subscribe to our channel. What do you think happened that night? Could this horror have been prevented? Let us know in the comments below.